You ever look at something in nature, I don't know, like a bird's wing or the human eye, and just think to yourself, how on earth did that happen? I mean, it all seems way too perfect, way too complicated to just be a random accident, right? Well, if you've had that thought, you're in good company. It's a question that has stumped thinkers for centuries. And today, we're diving into the pretty revolutionary answer found in Richard Dawkins' famous book, The Blind Watchmaker. So let's kick things off with a little thought experiment from a theologian named William Paley way back in 1802. Imagine you're just walking through a field, and you kick a stone. If someone asked you, hey, how did that stone get there? You'd probably just shrug, right? You'd figure, well, for all I know, it's been here forever. It's a stone, nothing special. Okay, but what if, instead of that stone, you look down and see a watch lying on the ground? Ah, now that changes everything, doesn't it? You'd pick it up, you'd see all the tiny gears, the hands, the little glass face, all these intricate parts working together just to tell time. And you would know, instantly, that this thing didn't just happen. Somebody, somewhere, had to have made it. That right there, that simple difference between a rock and a watch, that's the whole ballgame. It gets right to the heart of what Dawkins calls the problem of complexity. You know, the universe kind of seems to have two different kinds of things in it. On one side, you've got what we can call simple things. Rocks, rivers, clouds, even entire galaxies. Sure, they might be huge and follow the laws of physics, but their basic structure is, well, simple. But then you've got the other side, and that's where biology lives. That's the wasps, the cheetahs, it's us. And here's the thing about all these complicated living things that's so mind-bending. It's not just that they're complex, it's that they have this powerful, almost undeniable appearance of being designed. They really, really look like they were built for a reason. And there is no better example of this than the human eye. I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. It's not just some random blob of cells. It's a precision optical instrument. It's got a lens that focuses light, an iris that opens and closes, and a retina in the back with something like 125 million light-sensitive cells, all working together perfectly, just so you can see. It's incredible. And that's just one organ. Now try to scale that up to your entire body. We're talking about, on average, 10 trillion cells. 10 trillion. Each one is like its own tiny, complicated factory. The level of organized complexity is just, it's staggering. It's almost impossible to really wrap your head around. Which, of course, brings us right back to that watch on the ground. If a pretty simple machine like a watch just screams designer, then what in the world are we supposed to make of a living thing which is just orders of magnitude more complex? How does something that seems so wildly improbable even come to exist in the first place? Okay, so let's look at the classic answer. The one that for hundreds of years was pretty much the only game in town. It was powerful, it was intuitive, and for a lot of people it made perfect sense. William Paley, the guy who came up with the watch on the heath idea, didn't just pose the question. He built a really powerful answer around it. In his book, he took that gut feeling you get when you see the watch and turned it into a formal, logical argument. And his logic is actually beautifully simple. First, you look at the watch and you see all its intricate parts, all working together for a purpose. From that, you figure, okay, there's no way this just happened by chance. It had to have been made for something. And the only logical conclusion from there must have been a designer, a watchmaker, who put it all together. And this is where he makes his famous analogy. Paley argued that, look, if the watch's complexity proves a watchmaker exists, then the eye, which is so much more complex and sophisticated, is undeniable proof of a divine watchmaker, a creator. And you have to understand that this wasn't just some fringe idea. This was the mainstream explanation for the complexity of life. Even a young Charles Darwin himself read Paley and found the argument totally convincing. Because at the time, what was the alternative? There really wasn't a good one. And for centuries, that's where the story ended. It was the only answer that seemed to make any sense at all. But is a designer really the only possible explanation? What if there's another way? A process that could create the illusion of design, but without any actual designer behind it? And that question brings us to this massive intellectual revolution started by Charles Darwin, an idea that Richard Dawkins would later become the great champion of. See, for the first time in history, Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection gave us a completely new answer. It showed how, through tiny, incremental steps over unimaginable stretches of time, this incredible order and complexity could emerge from very simple beginnings, all on its own. And this brings us to Dawkins's brilliant metaphor, the blind watchmaker. Now think about that name. It's a watchmaker because the process produces these incredible things, like eyes and wings, that look exquisitely designed. But, and this is the key, it is blind. It's an unconscious, automatic process. It has no goals, no purpose, and absolutely no mind's eye. And that one little word, blind, well, it changes everything. Paley's watchmaker is an intelligent designer with a blueprint, a plan. But the blind watchmaker of evolution, it has no plan at all, zero foresight. It's just this natural, unconscious process, filtering random changes over generations, that just happens to create things that look brilliantly designed. So we're left with this amazing, profound question. See, Dawkins completely agrees with Paley on one thing. Living things are ridiculously complex, and they absolutely look designed. But he argues that the designer isn't some supernatural being. It's the blind, gradual, relentless force of natural selection. And the rest of his book is really this incredible, extended argument for how this completely blind process can and did create all the wonder and complexity we see in the living world.